Oh, you meant Bill Gates, right? Dude, how was that?
So I met him for dinner on Friday and breakfast for Saturday. And breakfast was alone, and he sat. So I always have questions. So I had a bunch of questions for him, some very interesting answers. The one thing, there are many things, but one of the things that we were talking about is everybody has been talking about climate change for as long as we have. We all estimated world peak population at one point to be 15 billion, at another point to be 12 billion. I think we are getting to that point where world population will quickly start to decline. So I was asking him, do you think with this trend, and these trends generally get exaggerated very quickly, do you think it makes sense to focus on mitigating climate change today as much as it did a few years ago because of the demographic change in the world? And he personally has like a bunch of tiers in which he puts in his money. Health, I think, is foremost for him. Then he has breakthrough energy. So then I was asking him the exact same question I'm asking you guys. I said, if you were to start over in life and you had $100 million, what energy would you personally invest in? Which energy company would you personally invest in? Would you go renewables? Would you go solar? Would you go wind? Would you go fission, fusion? So he said out of the 16 fission companies, nuclear, he probably is invested in about 4 or 5 of them, and he bet on fission. But the incredible thing about him is his the eclectic nature of his knowledge. You know, you can go from talking vaccine to talking climate to talking energy to talking everything. And when it came to energy, his reasoning was India has sun, but the world hasn't really cracked storage technology for this electricity which we generate during the day but utilize a lot of during the night. We still have very inefficient transmission. We still lose something like 40-50% of the electricity that we generate from the point it's generated to the point of consumption. India is not geographically well situated for wind. So he was kind of like, I think he doesn't say much directly, but I think he was talking a lot about nuclear. Are there investable opportunities in there? Yeah. But for some reason, the world has taken a U-turn on nuclear in the last few years. People have different angles with how they approach answering why that has happened. But I think the most logical answer amongst many answers is the nuclear facilities we had were quite outdated. And instead of putting in that much more money to kind of renovate and start afresh, I think people are picking other means. But very interesting conversations, incredibly smart individual. And
what did you eat for dinner?
The previous night, dinner, there were a bunch of people.
Breakfast, what did you eat?
Just like some sandwich and something. I asked him what supplements he's on, and he was talking. I can't remember what name he took, but he doesn't supplement himself with that much apparently. But I was driving back from this thing, and me and Nitin were sitting in the car, and we were just talking to each other about how people like this function, right? Like breakfast was at 8:30 a.m. or 9 a.m. or whatever, and we were in our tiny bubbles, kind of like not complaining, but we were kind of like, oh, we had to wake up at 8 a.m. on a weekend. That's the only day we get to sleep and all of that. But then you equate that to somebody like him, who's double our age. He had been to maybe 15 meetings in that one weekend window. He had traveled to 3 cities. He had met us for dinner, had similar conversations, and at breakfast, he was again doing it with so much
passion.
Yeah, it's incredible, Some people, I feel, are really, really driven in life. And I don't think that comes from an external external incentive per se, but I think they're innately very driven. I've met luckily a few people like that. I know I'm not like that. I feel like it's nice to at least see people like that.
Yeah, totally.
Man, whoever bullied Bill Gates has a kid.
Poor guy.
Thank you. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, probably, right?
Yeah.
Can I add something before I forget? He said the biggest opportunity he missed is losing the operating system to Android.
Totally. Yeah.
For mobile, right?
They tried
He
it.
totally lost it, right? So if you think about it, he owned desktop computing,
Correct. It makes sense for him to
right? Server-side computing, he lost on the big scale of it when it was all Unix-based systems, and that's what gave rise to Sun Microsystems, right? At one point of time, it was the coolest company to work for in the Valley, right? In the heydays. And when I was at Sun, we were trained to hate Microsoft. But if you think of what Microsoft eventually did with its blades and its back-end compute and moved to the server side, it made that entire piece redundant, right? So his biggest loss is, there are only X number of PCs in the world.
I don't think they're monetizing it yet, but I think that's an extremely invaluable piece of tech.
Android, they are not monetizing it yet. I mean, it doesn't cost anything, but
Of course, they're monetizing it.
I mean, Play Store.
No, they're monetizing it in so many ways.
Dude, every rupee raised,
Yeah.
40% goes.
More.
Yeah.
More. I would say 60% goes to
60%
Google and Facebook. And
You pay
another
30%, no? You said your tech costs 30, his
No,
is
no.
30.
Advertising.
So
So advertising and then cloud.
Hi, I'm Nikhil. Thank you for watching the podcast. Let us know who your favorite guest has been and who you'd like to watch next. Thank you.